January 20th, 2022 meeting of the Budget and Audit Committee for the City of Jackson. You should have gotten the minutes. I think Sandy sent those out a week or so ago. Any additions, corrections, changes to those minutes? If not, they'll be approved as they were submitted. We'll go ahead and move into item 3, information. Bobby, can you go ahead and give us your monthly revenue report?
Yeah, sure. I'll be happy to. And also, let me just say, we were. It's time for our quarterly, more detailed financial report. Unfortunately, we're not prepared to do that today. We'll try to get back on track maybe next month. We had an employee retire back at the end of November. We've been unsuccessful in filling that position, and then Kathy Keck, who is our supervisor in the accounting finance area, she's had some health issues, been out a lot. And we've been pretty busy, so we're running behind, but we'll try to get that together for the timing will be pretty good in the next couple of months ahead. We're kind of kicking off the budget as well, so we'll strive to do that. But just in terms of the quick update on the revenues, good news here continues. I looked at these numbers. These are a combination of through the month of December, and some of the property tax numbers get on over into January. So property tax collections are tracking about 3.6% ahead of the prior year. That's a combination of the actual collection process itself, and then each year, hopefully, we will continue to experience, an increase in the appraised and assessed property each year. So it's kind of a combination of those two factors, about 3.6%. We've had, I want to commend the Revenue Office, the ladies across the hall here. They have been extremely busy. This is the busy time of the year for them. They've done a really good job of, in terms of customer service and keeping up. And so we've had a successful property tax season so far. Local sales tax, I think you may have read, I think the counties reported on their sales tax recently. Our numbers in terms of year-over-year growth is very consistent. Local sales tax is tracking about 12% above the prior year. State sales taxes are tracking more in the 15+% increase over the prior year as well. Now, each month, we're all eager to see that, and I've read some information from the state the last few days about some of their budget estimates and economic indicators, for the coming year. And, the state does a good job of being conservative usually in their projections, but we'll have the decision to make, just as we did last year, where we're going to land in terms of next year's budget. But so far, so good on the sales tax. And I didn't actually get an update from Lori Nunnery this month, but you may remember last month we reported that hotel tax is actually, that's her numbers are kind of on a calendar year basis, and even through the last previous report, those numbers had exceeded calendar year 19. Mm-hmm. Which was pre-pandemic.
It's a record for the,
that's right.
For the community.
And I believe the month of October was actually the highest October ever. So those numbers continue in a positive trend as well.
All right, thank you. Could you briefly kind of give us an update on our audit?
Sure, I'll be happy to do that. Let me start by reminding everyone that the city transitioned this year from our previous audit firm to a new audit firm. That was a good decision for many, many reasons. I've reported the last couple of months that the audit process, this year's audit, has been a healthy challenge, I think, for the city as well as the new audit firm. Not unexpectedly, the audit firm, they elected to file for an extension with the comptroller's office for the December 31st deadline. That extension was granted. They've been working hard during the month of January. We've been working hard to keep up with them during the month of January. I actually received the draft of the audit statements a couple of days ago. Had them for about 2 days now. I believe that's right. We are reviewing them, reconciling them internally. Same with Malden Jenkins, our audit firm. They're going through their quality assurance review process. And I'm very confident that the audit will be completed and filed by January 31st, which was the deadline that was granted from the comptroller's office. There's work to do, but I'm confident that will happen. These are still draft statements, so I don't want to say anything that gets in front of the auditor's required and appropriate communication. But I would like to just share a couple of comments with for the benefit of the committee. So I anticipate an unmodified opinion, which is the term for historically a clean opinion. That's good news. I do anticipate and expect that there will be both findings and some audit adjustments. I'm kind of familiar with what they're going to be, I think, but I kind of defer that to the auditors. I would say that it's nothing unexpected, to offer you some degree of assurance. The audit findings to me are going to fall in kind of what I would call two categories. One would be the kind of traditional, hate to use the word routine, but kind of more routine operational type of findings that you might have in any audit. That's kind of going to be one category. The other category, and I don't want to speak for the audit firm, and I don't want to cast any shadows on anybody or anything, but I would say that the other audit findings are going to kind of fall into the category of what I would refer to as kind of transitional in nature, from previous audit firm with the city, and the city was partnered with them for a long time. New audit firm. There's going to be some findings that we will work to comply with and improve that are kind of related to that transition. That's kind of how that stuff's going to fall. So last time I talked with them, they're fully committed to all the reporting to the audit committee of this committee, as well as the council. And I think that if it, for our internal schedule, if that needs to happen in February, then they're committed to make that happen in February.
Yeah,
so we can talk
I've
more
had
about that.
some discussions with them about trying to meet a February date as
Sure.
well.
Okay.
Any questions on the audit or on the revenue report?
We're talking about a February date for the report to this committee and then March for the council, is what we want to do?
Yeah, I don't know if they'll be ready to report to us
No, not
by the
February.
second, right? And aren't we on the second?
First.
So, the first, okay. So, yeah, they would come here, we could review that, have some discussion, about, the controls or things that we need to put into place, or discussions about management's role in correcting some of this too, and then move it
present
on.
to council in March.
Present that to the council, yeah. Any other questions on item B? If not, I'm going to move on to item C, internal audit update. Ms. McKinney, could you
right.
give us your update?
Yes, good morning. For the past month, audit has been really busy with policy review and questions from different departments, a couple of compliance issues that we worked through. Also, we jumped in on municipal code review, spending a lot of time there with different areas. But the primary focus last month and this month still ongoing is JTA, working through their compliance issues and bringing some of that to fruition. You should see on the February's agenda for city council, some of those issues being brought before the council for discussion. So we're making progress in the area with JTA, and it's ongoing.
All
That's
right,
it.
thank you. Yeah, and what she's referencing, we're doing a municipal code review. She's a part of it. We're going through the entirety of our municipal code and making sure that everything's up to date and reflected on the website and that we're compliant with current laws and the way that we're doing these things. So she's a part of that as well. Really excited about what that has to offer. I'm going to move, and this is a change here, item B under business, FY '23 budget calendar discussion. This is more just informational. We just got through here a couple hours ago with our kickoff city council kind of budget strategy session. That was led by MTAS, and we were kind of able to establish some long-term goals and some more short-term, I guess it was 10-year, 5-year, and immediate 3-year goal, or immediate 1-year goals. And so they're going to compile those. I'll send those out to the budget committee once we get that report back from MTAS. I didn't know if anybody else wanted to add to that.
Yeah, I think we'll get the report. I think you told me next week.
Okay.
I'll send it. Gives me, I'll send it to council and send it to the budget committee.
Any questions on anything under information? We'll move on to item A under business, the Jackson Chamber of Commerce funding request for Blue Oval City marketing and coordination.
Thank all of y'all. First of all, thank you, City of Jackson, for continuing to invest in the chamber. You guys have done that for 30, 40, 50 years, longer than I've been at the chamber, and it's caused us to be extremely successful. Our request today is for $75,000 a year for 5 years to fund efforts to support our recruitment of both companies, but mainly people to Jackson related to the Blue Oval City development at the mega site. As all of you know, that project at a minimum creates 5,600 new jobs, $5.6 billion capital investment. By 2030, we're expecting 15,000 people to be located there on site. So needless to say, Jackson's opportunities over the next decade are unprecedented. And it's not a question of, is this community going to grow? It's a question of how well it's going to grow and what type of growth we're going to see. Our chamber, I think you would all agree, we've got a tremendous amount of brand equity, both locally and across the state and across the country in terms of industrial development and how we run our chamber. What we want to do is create an environment and a mechanism for all these requests that are now starting to come, and we're seeing a lot already. And these are requests for information outside of industrial work. These are from residential developers looking at the community. And quite honestly, some of it is asset management companies that are looking to deploy assets here because they know this community is going to grow. They just don't know what type of assets they want to invest in here. So that is the model we're creating, and met with Mayor Conger and Mayor Harris back before Christmas to surface this idea. And at that time, we were really evaluating how would we manage this structure within the chamber. And as we started thinking about it, myself specifically working with James Ross at the hospital, became apparent the guy to do that already was on staff, and that's Ryan Porter. And so Ryan will function in his role as to be really the air traffic controller for all these requests that are coming in. That formula has already worked to a certain extent. Mayor Conger and Mayor Harris have been in meetings where we've been contacted by residential developers and folks looking at this community. And while the chamber cannot stop anything from happening, we're going to encourage good growth. I think there's some things you don't want to see happen in this community, and by working together, we can surface those opportunities. So our goal, what we're going to do is put together it's a 5-year plan, $225,000 a year. We've met with the county and the county commission. I think Ryan approved that unanimously. That request for $75,000, we're requesting $37,500 each from the hospital and JEA, and those indications from both those organizations are also very positive. So that's my explanation. I'll be glad to answer any questions regarding the request.
In terms of updating, kind of as things
Yeah.
come along, and is there quarterly or monthly? You know, some of that, you can't update until
Yeah.
certain time? What does that look like?
Yeah, so the way we'll manage the funds is that Russell Cook, who is our CFO, will set up a restricted account, and then Ryan will report to both mayors quarterly, this is what we're doing. On the front end, it'll be developing a new website, and that website will be targeted not only to things that we already do, recruiting industry, but more, we need to recruit more people to this area, as all of you know, to Jackson and West Tennessee. And so those funds will be directed to that, so you'll see marketing and advertising opportunities. But yes, quarterly, you'll see an update from us.
Are you talking about funds reporting or project reporting?
Or just updates?
Update,
Kind of,
yeah. I think you have to figure that
Yeah.
mechanism out, because what NDAs have been signed and what we have that way. so,
Yeah, there's limitations on
Yeah.
that, but just
Yeah,
keeping
we'll-
us involved.
Yeah.
And what we envision is managing, just like we do industrial development activity. Sometimes we can report back to you, and it's a code word. Like now with the Georgia Pacific project, that has become public, and so really managing it that same way. But these funds are different, and so we want both mayors, or we'll set up meetings quarterly to distribute that information, have those conversations.
And Kyle, is this request to start in the FY '23 year for a start now?
Say that again?
Is it for the FY '20, for July, next year budget years, or to start
Yeah,
now?
what we're requesting is that start as immediate as possible. Our plans are to put this structure in place February 1st.
Okay.
So that would be FY '22, '23, '24, '25, and '26.
Is that right?
Is
Right.
the request?
Yes,
Okay. Okay.
Would it be a prorated request for this current budget, or would it just be the overall, the project is gonna cost?
Yeah,
broken
it's,
down?
what we put together is starting February 1st, a 5-year plan of $225 a year.
Okay.
So the counties, you went to them with a similar request?
Yes, yeah.
Any other entities in the city
Yeah,
that you're approaching?
West Tennessee Healthcare and Jackson Energy Authority, I can't speak for them because it's not gone to their boards yet.
Okay.
But I can tell you those initial conversations have been very positive.
Okay.
Would this come up on our February?
Yeah, I sent Wanda just a placeholder and pending this discussion.
The 225, is that the aggregate number for all parties involved, or is that strictly the city?
No, that's everyone.
So
Uh,
37.5, hospital, JEA,
Right,
and then the balance of that between the county and the city.
yeah, 75 each, that's right.
Any other questions for Mr. Spurgeon?
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. I would move to recommend this funding request for FY '22 to the city council. So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on
Who
this?
second?
Mr. Pretty? Any other discussion on this? If not, all in favor, identify with an aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstaining? Motion passes. Move on to item C, 5-year capital plan update.
Oh, yeah, Bobby and I talked about that this morning, so we're trying to plan either Tuesday or Friday of next week. I gotta get with, Ms. Henning and HR, because our consultant for our salary study and staffing study starts on Wednesday. I was getting my days confused. Starts on Wednesday with all the department heads, and then they'll immediately start with, I think, 1-hour sessions with the department heads going Wednesday and Thursday. So, if they don't start immediately after the 1-hour session with department heads on Wednesday, we're gonna try to just couple those meetings together. But if they are, then we're gonna look at Tuesday or Friday to start with the department heads to look at and have the conversation around the separation of what we have in American Rescue Plan and then building out a new 5-year capital plan.
And I guess per our calendar,
Yeah,
we're
we're
on pace.
Yeah, we're pretty much on pace. There's been a lot of work recently regarding the ARPA funds, and I think that was necessary work to kind of clarify that before we really start this 5-year planning process. There needed to be clarity, so that's coming to the council, next week, or at the
Week
next,
after
at the
next,
next
yeah.
meeting, right. So I think we're ready to go. I was telling the mayor and I were discussing it earlier, the good news is everybody's, really interested in planning and looking to the future, and they're excited about the ARPA funds. We want to keep as much clarity as we can and kind of separate the ARPA funds and the normal budgeting process as it relates to capital, although they're obviously related, right?
Sure.
And my goal would be hopefully this year, I mentioned to the mayor earlier, I think this would be a good year to certainly do what we need to do related to capital planning, but the quicker that we can get beyond the capital and kind of focus everybody's attention and resources on the operating budget, this would be the year to do that.
Yeah.
I think so.
I
So,
would
so we need to, I guess, internally, we just need to talk with the mayor and department heads and put a process together that the mayor described, and then hopefully we could kind of kick off sometime next week. And so,
With the goal of having a draft of that sometime early
I think so.
February.
Yeah.
I think so. I think it gives them an opportunity, like Bobby said, removing what we have in ARPA and then building a new capital plan where we have, if there are some necessities for capital in next year that are outside of ARPA, we can look at those in the other departments that aren't included in them, but also helping us look at FY '24 and beyond of preparation for that.
Any questions from the committee on 5-year capital plan update?
I think I just want one more
Yes,
comment.
sir.
I think our department has done a good job under kind of the guidance and leadership from the recorder's office of amending what they've considered traditionally capital. We've had some things that should have been and had now been moved over to operating that were in the capital budget. And so enacting the policies that the recorder's office has done has put us on the right track.
Any other discussion on item C? If not, these have piggybacked on each other for the last couple of months. American Rescue Plan, we've been, as Mr. Arnold alluded to, and the mayor as well, been working through that over the last couple of months as we've gotten additional. It seems like every time we make a decision or attempt to make a decision, we get new guidance, or they throw another wrinkle at us, or another grant program to chase after that needs matching. I feel like we're at a really good spot now, coming off of the last week and some discussions that we had, some planning with the committee that's looking over that, to really kind of put the details together on what that looks like, how we leverage those funds to the best ability that we can. And so that, I think we'll have that on the council's February agenda. I've included the spend plan in your packet, as well as the latest resolution amendments that we have. And I'll try to get to that.
It's the last 2 pages.
There we go.
And Bobby and I were talking, we'll have the updated, so this spend plan and the allocation and the total plan is the total dollar amount. And if you look at the spreadsheet doesn't necessarily reflect the 6.9 for FY '22, knowing that we have some uncommitted projects for the community impact portion. And so I sent Bobby and Lauren an email on what the FY '22 budget amendment will look like to have to go along with this resolution, if that makes sense. So we have to identify the buckets for this fiscal, and then we can move into next year and identify the buckets for the next round and get all that together. And so what we did was put without trying to confuse everybody, the 4.504916 for lost revenue for this budget amendment, 350 for the HVAC, health and safety, the full 932 for the infrastructure, TDEC matching, and then just the delta from that 6.9, which I think is 1.119, I think is what it is, goes over in community support bucket, which will obviously be added to in the next tranche, yeah.
Yeah.
To make it more confusing for everybody.
And so what based off some of the changes that have happened, Community Development Coordinator and our Love Your Block grant program will be facilitating the public input.
We hired
Portion.
our fellow started for Love Your Block on Tuesday. Vista's been working a month or so, and then I think Lauren and HR are interviewing. They got 5 or 6 interviews tomorrow for the Community Development Coordinator, and so those 3 will do that. And you all remember the Love Your Block is, we got $100,000 over 2 years for community planning, development in the qualified census tracts. And so this will give them the community support piece to implement the plan, as opposed to just presenting the plan to council and saying, whenever y'all get money, do it. It'll give them some immediate action items and availability. Yeah, so we have some things laid out, and so that'll kind of be on the Love Your Block and the Community Development Coordinator. So we have some things that are in there as far as the full dollar amount. What we don't have committed at all is, hold on,
Johnny, I'm sorry, what was your question? I didn't hear you.
implementing the community support piece. What we don't have in an item at all for any amount is about $1.26 million. And so the Love Your Block grant already has the infrastructure and the plan in place that they're doing. They're going to do community engagement, community meetings, everything that was talked about prior. Part of their grant is they have to do that to develop a plan for community investment. And so now they get some money to actually put the plan in action.
Yes. In that number, in that $2.6 million, that's the Commerce Street access to the grocery store. That's
Homeless shelter.
homeless shelter,
overage,
supplemental funds, $500,000 for
childcare.
early childcare match potential with the county, and then $50,000.
I took that out. and
Oh,
just put it
that's
over-
out? That's
Put it over in
in-
the undesignated
Okay.
community support.
That'll all be under community support, and then there's an unallocated amount of about $1.3 million that'll come out of the public input that we get
Yeah.
from the Community Development Coordinator and the Love Your Block people.
And 40,000 for Westwood Computer Labs, because we got 40,000 in loss, sorry,
TR White.
yeah, 40,000 for TR White in community support, and we got 40,000 in lost revenue for Westwood Computer Lab, so, yeah.
It's an evolving process, but we're.
Yeah, I think with utilizing the Love Your Block folks, the Vista and the Fellow, that not only because you know as well as anybody, we've seen a lot of times where we get grants to plan, but we have no money to implement, and so it gets put on the shelf. So at least they'll get the grants to identify projects, and this will give us and through that program an opportunity to do some immediate investment instead of just saying, here's the plan, we'll see you in 10 years if we get some money. Yeah, they'll be doing that, which is already part of the process for their grant anyway, but this actually puts some money for implementation behind that process.
Any other questions on American Rescue Plan? One of the other components was the TDEC. I think I brought that up the last time. We have some opportunity for some stormwater planning and asset management. And so we've had some discussions about that and looking to maximize. We can put in about 9.3, is it 8?
Yeah, 9.3.
We could put in 930,000 and leverage that up about 10 times for our asset management planning and some improvements as well. So we're going to try to maximize that through this program. Any other questions? Any other business?
Real quick question.
Sure.
The resolution that we did last meeting will be amended again to this resolution.
That's right. Yeah.
And then the budget amendment that I discussed on the 6.9 million will be presented to go along with that resolution adjustment for the buckets of money.
Go ahead.
We're gonna try to make it not confusing, but it can be confusing. 'cause
Can you
actually,
state what the
on the budget
question
amendment,
was?
He's asking that we're
'Cause
gonna,
we can't hear
we're gonna
him.
have the resolution. We had a resolution passed last time, we're gonna have an amended resolution again. So he's asking if that was the case.
But Johnny, just so you're as prepared as you can be, and Ross and Paul, all y'all, the actual budget amendment that has gone through 2 readings already to kind of support the spend resolution that was approved, that's part of our budget now, is that so we will have to amend that amendment, right, that just passed, to kind of reconcile those spending buckets to be consistent with the new spend resolution. So, that's right.
Yeah, from the
Yeah,
5
we had
categories.
the 5, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Proposed 3 last time.
Yeah.
This is 4, so we just have to
Yeah.
allocate those appropriately per the budget.
I want to make sure so I don't have to abstain this time.
And this is only,
Get me like I don't care about it, but it's, you know, I just,
this budget amendment will only be 1 reading because we're not increasing the total value.
That's
We're
right.
just allocating within the funds.
Yeah.
And so it won't take 2 readings again.
Any other business discussion? I appreciate everybody's time today. And we will meet, Sandy, when's our next meeting? Do you know?
The third.
The 3rd Thursday of
third Thursday
of February.
of February. I'm not sure what that date might be.
And the 3rd Thursday is working out well, I think, for the timing.
Probably
I know
the
we've moved that
17th.
around in the month.
17.
Yeah, that's better for my perspective.
Yeah, I agree. As long as we can get things like the chamber's item of business today, where we get it in time to get to Wanda so she can send out.
No, he's got to draft the budget amendment, too.
Yeah. Let's see, 3rd Thursday. 1, 2. That'd be the 17th?
That's right.
So February the 17th. If there's no other business, we'll be adjourned. Thank you.